What's up, what's happening, y'all? Thraxton Jackson is back in the building, still at the beach, ready to teach. Make sure you check out part 1 of the series. Click the link above. You can always hit the back button, right? You're not going nowhere. It's the internet. Run that beat, Twan. Let's get it. So we already looked at the new nutrition facts layout and the changes we'll see in the near future. Now we're going to look at the macros listed and figure out what they are, what they're used for, and how many we need every day. Let's get into it. Macromolecules or macros are the chemical building blocks for living things. A molecule being a chain of atoms and macro meaning on a large scale. Now just about everything around you is made of chains of atoms, but the macros we're talking about are organic molecules, meaning they come from living sources. All natural, just like the organic foods you can purchase that don't have any added chemicals. They're essential for our bodies to function and develop and are broken into 4 main groups: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Now we only use 3 of these for energy, so we'll be saying goodbye for now to nucleic acids. First on the list are carbohydrates, or carbs, because they're pretty much your body's favorite energy source. Now carbs come in many forms and identities, but they're simply rings or chains of a bunch of carbon atoms. And what keeps you hydrated? Water, H2O. See all the hydrogen and oxygen surrounding them? Carbohydrates. So in this product we see 30 grams of carbs and the details are outlined underneath. 5 of those grams come from fiber and another 10 come from sugars. I see 2 problems here. You might be thinking, hold up, that don't even add up to 30. That's 15. Or, why are fiber and sugar listed there in the first place? So first, let me explain the subcategories underneath. Carbs can be divided into 2 main groups: simple and complex. A simple carb might only be 1 or 2 sugars linked together, while a complex carb might be hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of sugars linked together in chains and branches and chains, and you get the idea. Simple sugars should be eaten with a full meal or some kind of fiber because they're so small they digest quickly and easily, and then any unused sugar is turned into fat. Complex carbs are generally better for you because they take longer to break down all those branched chains, keeping you fuller longer. But they can be bad if you eat too many because they're literally jam-packed with energy. Like a starch, for example. Starch is the way plants store extra energy from photosynthesis. They're like a plant's packed lunch. Think of a potato. Obvious starch, right? Because it's a giant blob of stored plant energy. Now compare that to a celery stalk that's mostly water and fiber and no stored energy, therefore less calories. Back to the table. Out of 30 grams, now we know that 10 are simple sugars and the remaining 20 are complex in the chains and branches. So fiber is a part of the remaining 20. But why do they measure it by itself? It's simple. Our bodies can't digest it. So a good thing is, if you're watching your carbs, you can subtract fiber from your daily total because it will not provide energy for you at all. In fact, it passes right on through you. So in this product here, you have 30 grams, take away those 5, that gives you a net total of 25 carbs. Now, most Americans do not get their daily recommended amounts of fiber, which can lead to inflammation and digestive issues down the road. Plus, if you're having trouble getting things going in the right direction, more fiber in your diet will get things running smoothly again. If it's soluble, that means it will dissolve in water, turning your food into a jello-like blob, and you'll slowly digest nutrients throughout the day. Again, complex carbs keep you fuller longer. Insoluble fiber doesn't dissolve in water, so it'll plow right through you like a running back. Too much fiber won't hurt you, but it will send you running to the toilet. So you can see carbs range from anything that's very starchy, like potatoes, rice, and grains, to something low carb but a good source of fiber and nutrients like most vegetables, to a healthier mix of sugars and starches like most fruits, to straight up sugar. Yes, fruit juice is pretty much candy with vitamins because all the fiber that will slow down sugar absorption into your blood has been removed. So be sure to have juice with a full meal. Everybody out there with juicers at home, make sure you're juicing mostly vegetables with just a few fruits for flavor because you're losing all of that good fiber. On the fats. Fats have the worst reputation of any macro. The common misconception is because it's called a fat, it will make you fat. No! Any macro will make you fat if you eat too much. But not only are they good for energy, we need a little fat in our bodies to help insulate our organs, absorb vitamins, build cell membranes for all of our trillions of cells, create hormones, and nerve cells. Your nerve cells run on an electrical system, and fats help to act as the insulation, like the coating on an electrical wire. Now, what are the best kinds of fats that you should eat, and what should you avoid? You want to stick with unsaturated, namely mono and polyunsaturated fats. These are usually liquidy fats. and they have a long list of health benefits. Now, they're not listed on every product out there, but you can assume they're in there if the trans fats and saturated fats don't add up to the total. You see this? This is basically what ends up in your blood when you remove fats from the food you eat. It's a triglyceride. You got a glycerol head and 3 fatty acid tails. The glycerol head acts like the plastic rings holding together the cans on a 6-pack, but it's only a 3-pack. That's where triglyceride gets its name. The fatty acid tails are just a chain of carbons with a bunch of hydrogen surrounding them, like seats in a packed stadium. That means this kind of fat would be, you guessed it, saturated, not an empty seat in the house. Now, saturated fats don't have the same negative image anymore like they did in the 90s, but you still want to use moderation because they are usually found in foods with a lot of sugar or salt or a ton of calories. Here is a monounsaturated fat. Mono means it has exactly 1 degree of unsaturation, right there. That right there is a double bond between the 2 carbon atoms that frees up just a little bit of space and adds a kink to the fatty acid tail. That's it. That little bend makes all the difference between a healthy and unhealthy fat. Poly means there are many degrees of unsaturation, so more double bonds between the carbon atoms, which means more kinks and the tail gets all twisted up and even healthier. The exception here is trans fats. Technically, it is an unsaturated fat. You see the missing hydrogens, right? But it's arranged in a way that appears to be saturated, like the one I already put up. So your body has a hard time processing these. They've been proven to raise cholesterol in no amount. 0 grams is safe for you. What's worse is if a product has less than 0.5 grams, companies are allowed to round down to 0. And that's pretty misleading if you ask me. Now, I laugh when I see a package that's labeled no trans fat. I'm like, hey, thanks for not putting any poison in my snack. Much appreciated. So go for foods like fish, hemp hearts, or flax for your polys. Nuts, avocados, and olive oil are great mono sources. Disclaimer with that, be careful when cooking with oils at high temperature because heat can make healthy fats unhealthy. Saturated fats are primarily found in animal products like meat and obviously any dairy product that's not fat-free, even your 2% milk. And try your best to limit your trans fat consumption, which might seem depressing. Why? Because French fries, that's why. Or foods with high shelf life. But you might be thinking, that's okay. I don't even go near sweets, and I watch my fried foods. But have you checked your bread lately? A lot of foods with high shelf life use cheaper hydrogenated oily poison instead of real butter to save money. Think about it. Any cooked food should not be able to sit out for months and remain edible. That's just not natural. In the last video, I mentioned that we won't see these beyond 2020, so if you're watching this in the future, they should already be gone. Lastly, protein is kind of lonely way down at the bottom with no subcategories because there's not much to talk about. Proteins are chains of 1 or more of the 20 amino acids found in the human body. So when they bond together to form chains, you get protein. Now, there are no good or bad sources of protein, but you can separate foods into complete and incomplete protein sources. What's the difference? Your body can make 11 of the 20 amino acids on its own if necessary, but the other 9 you have to get from food. Complete protein sources like quinoa, soy, and eggs have all 9 essential amino acids, so they're a one-stop shop for your protein needs. If you lift weights, you already know you need a ton of this stuff to grow. But we also need it to make hair, fingernails, hormones, enzymes, and to create and repair cell structures in our bones, skin, cartilage, and blood. And like I said, it's essential for muscle development. Plant sources for all the vegans out there, you probably already know you got your beans, lentils, tofu, TVP, nuts, seeds, and other plant-based protein supplements like rice and pea protein. Now, this was an area of concern for me personally, I'm not gonna lie. When I decided to choose more plant-based foods, I was worried about not finding enough protein to keep my gains going. But there's plenty of sources out there. For the carnivores, you still got fresh cuts of meat. Notice I said fresh, not processed lunch meat that's loaded with nitrates. Nitrates are directly linked to colon cancer, and I've checked almost every brand out there and maybe found 1 or 2 without it unless you go organic. But you also have egg whites, canned meats with low sodium, and protein powders. Before I go, I promised I'd help you figure out how much of each macro you should eat daily. So I threw a few links in the description box. They're really quick and easy and free to use. So whatever your goal is, click the link you need and get started on living your best life. You dig? That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching Blackboard. Please make sure you click like, crush the subscribe button for more excellent content. If you have any suggestions for future videos, drop a comment below. Or you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. Links are in the description box. This is your host, Straxon Jackson, signing off for now. Get up with y'all next time. Peace.